A small team of American and British drillers were exactly 24 hours away from admitting they had failed. It is December 1922 and they were deep in the Venezuelan jungle, exhausted by the heat and frustrated by a well they called Barroso No.2. They had been drilling for months, with almost nothing to show for it. They thought they were losers. Men who had traveled thousands of miles just to find a dry hole. But they didn't know they were standing on a pressurized ocean of black gold. They were about to trigger a 9-day disaster that wouldn't just soak the ground in oil, it would rewire the entire future of the Western Hemisphere. This is the story of the day the earth in Venezuela literally screamed. The operation was run by a company called VOG, Venezuelan Oil Concessions, which was a subsidiary of Royal Dutch Shell. But the men on the ground, the ones who were actually drilling, were a great crew of mostly American drillers from the oil fields of Texas and Oklahoma. The team was led by an American superintendent named L.E. Dejanay, along with specialists like Sam Cochran and Mr. Oilcrease. They were the technical muscle. To the locals in the village of Cabimas, those guys were known as the Misses, a local nickname for the strange foreigners in khaki clothes going around poking the ground with metals. At exactly 6 a.m. on December 14th, the ground stopped being stubborn. A massive roar, like a jet engine, ripped through the air as the pressure from 1,500 feet below finally won the battle. The wooden derrick, the tower built over the well, was shredded to splinters as a pillar of black crude oil shot 130 feet into the sky. For 9 straight days, it was a black rain, about 100,000 barrels a day. The rain carried the oil for miles, coating everything in its way: houses, trees, and coffee farms in the region. Dejanay and his American crew had to act like wartime sheriffs. They banned every cooking fire and cigarettes for miles, because one single spark and the whole region would have been cooked, literally. The foreigners were helpless because in 1922 they didn't have the technology to stop the oil spray. The local villagers, terrified as the oil drenched their lives, turned to the only thing they had left: faith. Legend has it they brought out the statue of San Benito, playing traditional drums and praying for the earth to close. On the 9th day, the roaring suddenly stopped. The oil stopped spilling. To the villagers, this was a miracle. They thought San Benito had finally answered their prayers. What actually happened was that the force in the well was so violent that it actually choked itself. It pulled so much sand and rock from the bottom of the hole that it plugged. While the villagers saw a miracle, the oil executives saw a gold mine. The news reached the US and Europe in days. Venezuela wasn't just a farming country anymore. It was now the most valuable piece of real estate in the world. Now this is where the real disaster begins. The Barroso blowout turned Venezuela into a global target overnight. Foreign companies rushed in, and the government, desperate for easy cash, gave out land concessions to these companies like candies. Oil money flooded in fast, too fast, because instead of building a diverse economy, Venezuela became dependent on the pump almost immediately. Their whole livelihood revolved around the oil, and by the 1930s, The country's famous coffee and cocoa industries, the things that had fed the nation for centuries, simply collapsed. A dangerous pattern was set. Easy money replaced long-term planning. Agriculture died. The entire nation began to revolve around the price of a single barrel. By the mid-1900s, Venezuela was the richest country in South America, but it was fragile wealth because it solely depended on the oil in the country and nothing else. This dependency is what economists call the resource curse. Sometimes, the most dangerous disasters aren't the ones that explode. They are the ones that give you everything you ever wanted all at once. What do you think the country could have done differently? Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. If you want to hear more unbelievable but true stories like this one, hit the subscribe button, give this video a like, and stick around. See you in the next one. Goodbye.